Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwander and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Jeff Seeley. He is CEO of Karoo International. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me, Gerhard.
Part of good selling is storytelling. How do you teach salespeople how to sell with stories?
Well, I think that's a great question, because I think the story that a salesperson needs to develop is a couple-fold. It has to have a couple elements. It has to have a great beginning, and it has to have a middle, and the climax has to really be strong to convince the customer that their value proposition is true. So I think the story for a salesperson today is really around how they and their companies can create value for the customer in a way that's in the customer's operating reality. And a lot of times sales professionals go in, the story is the story of their product or the story of their service or the story of them. It's never the story of the customer. And all of us are more influenced by a story that's about us versus a story that's about somebody else. No one likes to hear, hey, I've got a friend who did this once. They want to hear about the story of themselves. And so a salesperson's story capability really has to be around telling a story about the customer and how they're going to make the customer the hero of this story.
It makes a lot of sense. Can you give me an example, and also can you explain how do you teach that?
Well, a great example of it might be is something along the lines of this. We have a client who was working with an Adidas company, and Adidas' story was they wanted to have the lightest, most complex fabric for runners. And our client really needed to be a valued resource to that. Well, they had gone in for many, many years talking about all the properties of their work and never really got that the customer was really about wanting to surpass Nike or Under Armour with this type of fabric. And so suddenly the sales professional and the manager went in and started telling the story of, can you imagine if Adidas had a single ply, totally breathable, waterproof membrane that was super light, runners would love it, the feel of it was unbelievable. Can you imagine the impact that'd have on the marketplace? All of a sudden, the folks at Adidas said, that's it, that's what we're looking for. And then the climax was, well, we can help you get there. And so that became the story that suddenly changed how it became. And so how you teach a sales rep that is to stop thinking about themselves, stop thinking about their company, and think about the customer. What's the customer trying to accomplish? What are they trying to get to? What's their competitive issue? Who's their villain? And who do they want to conquer? Who's their Goliath and they want to be David? It becomes those types of conversations that then change the story. And you have to have good communication skills, obviously, as well. And as we think about, communication skills for sales reps are going to become more and more important, not at the social level, but more truly at the communicative level.
When you think about movies, what movie comes to mind that has really a great storyline that salespeople could learn from?
Well, I tend to be a person who may be a little more esoteric. People start talking about Tommy Boy or some of these other, great sales movies, Glengarry Glen Ross. I really take a look at movies from the perspective of something that weaves something that brings me in. And I always look at a simple story, if you like a comedy, The Internship. I look with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson and look at how they bring you in with, bringing these kids up into a totally different viewpoint. So from a comedy perspective that way, from a drama perspective, you look at something like, a really great story that's out there. Birdman won a bunch of things, and I look at Birdman right now, and at first, when I first watched the movie the first time, I was kind of like, I didn't really get it. And then I watched it a second time in an airplane, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's a story within this story that I missed the first time. And I think that's where great storytelling is in dramas, is how it really captures you in. You're really sitting on the edge of your seat wondering, okay, what's going to happen next from a suspense perspective, but where's this going to go? I think of even like a Silver Linings Playbook, which again had so many unique characters. And I think of sales in a standpoint of there's so many unique characters inside of a customer organization that we have to touch. And I think that's where the stories also have to become different, because each one has a different plot line.
Thank you, Jeff. For anybody who would like to get more information, go to karoo.com.